Imagine a man who never lost a single duel in over 60 battles. A swordsman so feared that his enemies surrendered before the fight even began. Not because of brute force, but because of a presence that chilled the soul, a level of mental and physical strength so profound, it bordered on the supernatural. His name? Miyamoto Musashi. And today, we're diving into the philosophy that forged him into a living legend. If you've ever wondered how to cultivate unbreakable focus in a world of endless distractions, or how to turn your body and mind into an unstoppable force, this is for you. Born in 1584 in Japan's Harima province, Miyamoto Musashi entered the world during the chaotic Sengo period, a time of endless civil wars where survival demanded not just skill, but an iron will. At just 13 years old, he stepped onto the dueling grounds for his first taste of combat, facing off against a seasoned samurai named Arima Kia. Armed only with a wooden bokken, a training sword no match for a real blade, Musashi didn't just win, he crushed his opponent's skull with a single, calculated strike. From that moment, a legend was born. But Musashi wasn't content with mere victory. He roamed Japan as a ronin, a masterless samurai, challenging dojos and warriors alike, amassing a record of undefeated glory. By his death in 1645, he dueled over 60 times, authored the timeless Book of Five Rings, and redefined what it means to be truly strong. His life wasn't about glory or gold, it was a relentless pursuit of self-mastery. And at the heart of it all? A philosophy that blended the sharpness of the blade with the stillness of the mind. We'll unpack that step by step, drawing from his own writings and the echoes of his battles. To understand Musashi's scariness, we must first strip away the myths. Popular tales paint him as a wild beast, a tattooed giant wielding oversized swords. But the real Musashi was lean, unassuming, 5 feet 6 inches tall, with a face more philosopher than fighter. Yet, his reputation preceded him like a shadow. Take the duel at Ganryu Island in 1612, against his greatest rival, Sasaki Kojiro. Kojiro was a prodigy, famed for his swallow cut, a lightning-fast overhead slash that could bisect a bird in flight. Word spread, Musashi arrived late, not out of fear, but strategy. He carved his paddle into a makeshift bokken from his boat, then waited under the midday sun, letting Kojiro's impatience boil into rage. When the moment came, Musashi didn't charge. He circled, eyes locked, reading every twitch. Then, with a single upward thrust, he shattered Kojiro's skull before the man could even swing. Eyewitnesses later whispered of an unnatural calm, a void where fear should have been. Musashi later reflected in his writings, in strategy, your spiritual bearing must not be any different from normal. That was his edge, not superhuman power, but a mind so attuned to the present that chaos dissolved. Why does this matter today? In our era of notifications and noise, most of us are Kojiro, talented but reactive, undone by haste. Musashi teaches us to become the calm in the storm. Over the next 25 minutes, we'll break down his core principles, the fusion of body and spirit, the art of perception, strategic living, daily rituals, and the ultimate void. Each one builds on Musashi's first revelation. True strength isn't divided, it's the seamless marriage of flesh and awareness. He wrote, "The way of the warrior is the resolute acceptance of death." Not as morbid fatalism, but as liberation. By embracing mortality, you shed hesitation, aligning every sinew with your intent. Physically, Musashi trained like a monk in exile. He swam against raging rivers to build endurance, hiked volcanic trails barefoot to toughen resolve, and practiced with stones tied to his limbs for explosive power. But it wasn't random toil, it was purposeful. He'd strike the same kata, sword form, thousands of times, not for perfection, but for instinct. Science echoes this. Neuroplasticity research from places like Harvard shows that deliberate repetition rewires the brain, turning conscious effort into subconscious flow. Musashi called this the spirit of the thing, where body moves without thought, like water carving stone. Apply it now. Start with embodied awareness. Each morning, spend 10 minutes in Zazen meditation, seated cross-legged, breath steady as a drum. Feel your pulse sync with the inhale, hold for 4 counts, exhale for 6. Then transition to movement, shadowbox with an imaginary blade, or simply walk mindfully, each step a deliberate press into the earth. Over weeks, this union sharpens. I've seen executives, buried in boardrooms, reclaim their edge by integrating Musashi's drills, pushing through a 5K run while visualizing duels, turning sweat into strategy. The result? A body that serves the mind, not. Next, perception, the blade's true edge. Musashi mastered metsuki, or distant gazing, not staring at your opponent, but absorbing the whole field. In his words, perceive that which cannot be seen with the eye. It's about reading intent before action, sensing the rhythm of conflict. Picture his duel with the Yoshioka clan in 1604. Ambushed by over 100 swordsmen in Kyoto's woods, Musashi arrived early, scouting terrain, trees for cover, ground for footing. When they charged, he didn't meet them head-on, he flanked, using the forest's shadows to pick them off one by one. By dawn, the Yoshioka were decimated, their dojo erased. This wasn't luck, it was foresight honed by the void, emptying the mind of preconceptions. In practice, train your eyes and ears like sensors. Musashi advised studying animals, the hawk's unblinking vigilance, the snake's coiled patience. Today, adapt it to urban battles, scan a crowded street, noting exits and postures. Or in conversation, listen not for words, but tone shifts, the unspoken threat. Cognitive psychology backs this. Daniel Kahneman's System 1 thinking, intuitive pattern recognition, mirrors Musashi's art. Cultivate it with perception drills, sit in a park for 20 minutes daily, cataloging details, leaf veins, strangers' gaits, without judgment. Soon, you'll spot opportunities others miss, turning potential pitfalls into advantages. This level of awareness? Musashi elevated strategy beyond the dojo, calling it the way of strategy for all things. His Book of Five Rings divides into earth, water, fire, wind, and void, each a lens for adaptation. Earth, build firm foundations, like scouting an enemy's style. Water, flow flexibly, molding to circumstances. Fire, strike with overwhelming initiative. Wind, learn rivals' weaknesses by studying their wind, habits and tools. Void, the emptiness where true creation happens. A prime example, his rivalry with the Kano school. Knowing their longsword obsession, Musashi countered with a short wakizashi, turning their reach against them in tight quarters. Victory wasn't in the weapon, but the mismatch. He applied this to painting, too. His ink scrolls, like shrike on a dead branch, capture life's transience with brutal economy. For you, strategy means auditing your life like a battlefield. Map your 5 rings, career as earth, solid skills, relationships as water, adaptable bonds, health as fire, aggressive vitality, learning as wind, exploiting trends, and purpose as void, the unknown pull. Weekly review. What's your longsword, a strength to leverage? What's the opponent's wind, a habit to disrupt? Tools like journaling amplify this. Musashi sketched his thoughts nightly. In boardrooms or gyms, this mindset wins wars before they're fought. Scare. No legend without ritual. Musashi's days were a forge, dawn walks for clarity, midday training till exhaustion, evenings in reflection. He avoided excess, no alcohol dulled his edge, no comfort softened his resolve. Do nothing which is of no use, he decreed, curating a life of purposeful austerity. In his later years, he retreated to Reigando Cave on Mount Iwato, etching his final teachings on walls by candlelight. There, isolated, he confronted the self, meditating on impermanence, practicing mushin or no mind, where actions arise pure. This discipline wasn't punishment, it was freedom, stripping away the trivial to reveal core power. Build yours incrementally. Adopt the Musashi regimen, rise at 5 a.m. for 30 minutes of breath work, deep diaphragmatic inhales visualizing energy coiling like a spring. Follow with physical rites, 100 push-ups in sets of 10, each rep a mantra of focus. Afternoons, dedicate an hour to useful nothing, reading Sun Tzu or practicing a craft, no distractions. Evenings, review the day, what advanced the way? What diluted it? Track progress in a simple ledger, as Musashi did. Studies from habit experts like James Clear show such routines compound, small fires forge steel. Over months, this discipline becomes invisible armor. At the summit, the void. Musashi's ultimate ring, beyond form or thought. What is called the spirit of the void is where there is nothing, yet everything gets done. It's enlightenment in action, total presence, where ego dissolves, and intuition reigns. In his final duel, against a spear-wielding monk at age 50, Musashi entered this state. Age had slowed him, yet he danced through thrusts like wind through bamboo, disarming without a scratch. The monk later bowed, "You fought as if the world were empty." Musashi replied, "The void is my ally. Achieve it through surrender." Beyond basics, practice emptiness meditation. Gaze at a candle flame for 15 minutes nightly, letting thoughts drift like clouds, returning to the flicker. In conflict, pause, breathe into the gap between stimulus and response. Neuroscience calls this default mode network deactivation, quieting mental chatter for peak flow. Artists, CEOs, warriors, all. Musashi's legacy endures because it's universal. Bruce Lee drew from his rings for Jeet Kune Do, modern Stoics like Ryan Holiday cite him for resilient mindsets. In your life, use perception to navigate toxic workplaces, strategy to scale businesses, discipline to conquer addictions. A tech founder I know credits Musashi for his billion-dollar pivot, scouting winds of AI trends early. But beware, this strength demands price. Musashi died alone, his body a map of scars, regretting only unfinished writing. You've glimpsed the scariest strength, not domination, but transcendence. Start today, one breath, one step. Subscribe for weekly dives into warrior wisdom. Like if this ignited your fire, comment your first Musashi ritual below. Next, the Samurai Code for Unbreakable Habits. Until then,